Hello buddy, quick update for you. Been busy today. Completely on whim, decided going to get the diesel heater in. So I'll show you a couple of bits. I didn't do any filming while I was actually doing the install. Frankly it would have been difficult to actually do the films. Everything's really tight in and other stuff really awkward to sort of film up top here or lying underneath the van, so didn't bother with filming, but I'll show you what we've got. Obviously we've not got the electrics in yet, so it's just temporarily wired to the main battery, but not a problem. But it's tested and it's working, so come have a quick look at this. So where I decided to put it is where a lot of people put them in the Vivaros and Renault Trafics. It's just underneath the driver's seat there. I did have to modify the seat base a little bit, because I don't know if you can make that up. There's a plate there. It's basically got bits for the wiring to attach to, and that run all the way across. I've actually sort of halved that, so that'll fit in fine. Same on the front, but that's all that was required on that. Probably would have been a much easier job if I could take this base out, but I use a Torque 50 screw, and unfortunately it seems my Torque 50 bit is completely mullered, so I couldn't get them off, so I did it all in place. So wasn't the easiest, but got it all done. Now the diesel heater that we've got comes with this control panel module. Still need to do a little bit of reading on sort of all the different bits and pieces, but so power it up with that, increase your temperature, decrease your temperature. That's as far as I've got so far, just with the testing. Has got a little remote control fob as well, which I've tested. It does work from inside the house, so that's really quite handy. Definitely a thumbs up for that one. But that all seems to work fine. But I'll show you a couple of the other bits I did underneath the bonnet, because I did do things slightly different to what you see a lot of the other installers have done. Now the way I've installed the fuel lights is different to the way you see a lot of them done. I didn't bother with using the internal tanks. I really didn't fancy having a tank full of diesel actually in the van. Could get knocked, spilled when you fill in, like, didn't fancy it at all. A lot of the others actually run it by actually cutting the fuel lines underneath the van and taking the tap out to the fuel that way. What I decided to do, I found this T-piece which actually designed specifically to actually sort of tee into the return line, and then sort of went up through the filter. The pump's mounted there. That's the wiring that comes up from the actual heater unit itself, and there's your fuel pipe that runs down, and it's cable tied all the way along to the main fuel lines and disappears underneath. I'll try and show a little bit of underneath. There's not a lot to see though, but just bear with me, I'll see if I can get that. So down here, just underneath, you'll be able to see that's the exhaust pipe sticking out, and that runs up and under there, over, clears all the stuff that's already on the van. Now you can't really see the bottom of the diesel heater itself, but that's actually under there with all the fuel line coming into it. The air intake's under there as well, but unless you're really looking for it, you can't tell that's there at all. But because it's sort of pointing down and out, you don't get a problem with any carbon monoxide build up at all. It just blows straight out and away from the van, which is really handy. Obviously we will have a carbon monoxide meter in there regardless, but for this point in time it's all looking good. So if I just do a quick fire up test, press and hold the power button, hear the unit go click, and the fan comes on. Now what you can't hear, because of where I've mounted the fuel pump, is it clicks. It works as a solenoid pump, so it literally, you get sort of ticking from the pump rather than sort of a whir from the pump. So that now be ticking, pushing the diesel up to the heater, before too long that'll actually sort of come up, ignite, and you'll hear the exhaust start up. So there we go, you can just see the exhaust now as it's starting to warm up. And look inside, there's the unit. You can just hear it whirring away, but when you're inside, that's literally the most you can hear, just a little whir from it. So there we are now, that's starting to run up properly. You can just feel a little bit of warmth coming through now, but literally give that a couple of minutes and they'll be coming out lovely from that. Now while that's doing its thing, hopefully you can hear me properly with it running, I decided to get the panels carpeted. That's all insulated and vapour membrane behind there. So we've got the carpet panels on there, they're all done now. Both sides, all set lovely. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with the little sort of check pulls yet. May print something a little bit bigger for that, a bit more like the actual original ones that come with the Ferraro, but that's not too desperate on that. These sort of, they're functional, so that's not a bad thing really. But literally all that's left to do at the rear, get the carpet on these door panels, and we're going to look at getting the windows tinted. I don't know whether to get those tinted before we do the carpeting or after, so a bit of a decision on that side. But for now we've got what can only be described as a very toasty van with a remote control heater, which is really good because it actually works via the remote, so you don't actually need to be in the van to fire it up. It can be outside. As soon as that fires up, you're away, and it's all toasty. So the heater's now on its cool down stage. Basically, once it's been running, it for about 10 minutes or so, without any sort of the burners going, it'll on and off, just keep the fans running a bit, just to make sure it doesn't overheat. So any of the heat soak just gets dissipated out. But no less about 10 minutes that it finishes that off. But really handy system. Really impressed with it. The quality seems quite good. I did add a couple of bit of extras, like I say, with that T-piece that's underneath the bonnet and the hard fuel line as well. I went for that rather than the flexible stuff that comes with it. Mostly because I've read reviews where, because it works by sort of pulsing the fuel, it needs something a bit more solid so it doesn't sort of flex and you get fuel starvation up to the head. But I'll put some links to where I got the heater from, because it was really keenly priced and they seem to have some really good deals on there. And I'll put a link to the T-piece that I got from eBay and the fuel line system that I got from Amazon as well. Pop those down below in the description. But another big step forward, really looking good. But if you can, drop a like down, really helps the channel out. And if you want to know anything about the heater install, so the little extra bits and bobs that I did, drop us a comment in. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. So thanks for watching, we'll see you again next time.